The dumbest thing the Mets or Yankees could do would be trade for Shohei Ohtani. It is like the dumbest thing. Now, they've done a lot of dumb things, obviously, like trading for Josh Donaldson, thinking IKF was a shortstop. Where do we begin with the Mets? I mean, they've done endless dumb things over the last, 50 years? But the dumbest thing that either of these two teams could do at this particular point is trade for Shohei Ohtani. And I'm excited about watching Ohtani in the All-Star game. I understand what type of star he is and what he's going to command in the offseason. And both these teams should be all in on Shohei. I have my doubts about the Yankees. Why? Because the Yankees don't want to spend anymore. I mean, that has been proven. Let me rephrase that. They don't want to spend as much as they used to spend. They don't spend that much more than the next guy. Matter of fact, they don't spend as much as the top guys. The Mets. We know spending the most doesn't always equate to winning the most, and that's an unfortunate thing. However, in this case with Shohei Ohtani, you should be all in. If you can, when a player like that becomes available, you do whatever you can to go get him. However, you don't do that at the trade deadline, because if you're thinking about the idea, and I get the fans are excited about it and think, oh, well, we'd have to lure him here, Sal. He doesn't want to play on the East Coast, so go trade for him, let him understand what New York's like, and then keep him. Do you realize, and I heard a caller before with Tiki and Tierney, talking about what it would take to get Ohtani from the Angels, from the Yankees' perspective. Like, dude, here's the bottom line. If the first name out of your mouth, if I'm the Angels and I call the Yankees, and the first name out of your mouth isn't Anthony Volpe, you're done. That's it. Go over to the other side of town. If the first name out of the mouth of Billy Epler isn't Francisco Alvarez, I'm done. And there's no way that the Mets or Yankees can trade either of those guys. There isn't a player in baseball that I would trade Francisco Alvarez for. There isn't a player in baseball that I would trade Anthony Volpe for. That would be stupid. You don't do that. And people could say, well, Ohtani is a free agent at the end of the year. Angels have no leverage. Bull crap. Some sucker team, if he is available, will go out there and overpay with prospects to get Shohei Ohtani in hopes of keeping, whether it's the Dodgers, whether it's the Padres, whatever, in hopes of A, winning this year, and B, convincing them to stay long term. Somebody will do that. So it is going to cost. And if not, the Angels aren't going to trade him. They've held on him for this long, so it's going to be a big-time package, which means it would be the idea of even bringing it up, and look, it's All-Star Week, so we're looking for content. The idea of even bringing it up is stupid. Not to mention where both teams are at this particular point. You can make a better case for the Yankees going all in because they actually have a chance to win it all, where the Mets do not. I mean, the Mets would be lucky if they sniff the third wild card spot. But it would be the dumbest thing ever for either of these teams to go trade for Ohtani. Now, you fast forward to the offseason, and here's where I'm a little nervous when it comes to Steve Cohen and the Mets. About a month ago, 2 months ago, however long it was that Cohen spoke, prior to him addressing the media during this failed season for the Mets, I felt and said it, whether it be here, whether it be on Baseball Night in New York on SNY, Monday through Friday, 6:30, except for this week for me. It's on. I'm not. Anyway, whether I said it on SNY, whether I've said it here, I've been steadfast in saying Steve Cohen will not be outbid for Shohei Ohtani. And Andy Martino, a reporter who I love and trust more than any reporter that's out there for SNY TV, he combats that saying, watch out for the Dodgers. And I'm saying, no, I get that you got the reporter, the info. I don't need that. I'm going to use common sense here and understand that Steve Cohen will not be outbid for Shohei Ohtani. Doesn't mean the Mets are going to get him. It means that Steve Cohen will not be outbid. This type of player hasn't been available. I mean, this type of player has never been available. Ever. Period. Ever in the history of the game have we seen a player like this. But a player of this caliber, or even close to this caliber, has not been available for Steve Cohen. It's been the pitchers. And he went out there and got Scherzer and got Verlander and so on, and has spent the most money. So when a player like this is now going to become a free agent, why would I think anything other than Steve Cohen basically giving him a blank check? Thinking that he's a player that fills multiple needs. He can pitch. He can hit. He also brings the extra stuff, fans and marketing and all that stuff. He's a worldwide superstar. He's the guy that you invest in. So I've always felt that Cohen will not be outbid. Whether Ohtani wants to play for the Mets or not, who the hell knows? I have no idea. I'm not going to put the math together with Billy Epler or anything else, or just assume he's okay with coming to the East Coast, or assume he wants the most money. If he's okay with the East Coast and if he wants the most money, it will be the Mets. However, after Cohen addressed the media, he seemed a little gun-shy now after getting burnt by spending so much this year. So maybe the bigger problem with the Mets losing so far this year is not just about the results of this individual season, but what it means for Ohtani and potentially long-term, where they're once again a losing organization. That's not good. But Steve Cohen talked about maybe having to dial it back a little bit with the payroll. If it's proven that spending the most doesn't necessarily work, now he's going to be a little gun-shy. However, this is the guy to go all in on. And the reason why I don't mention the Yankees in this same breath is because they don't have, or maybe they do have, they're not choosing to spend the amount that the Mets will choose to spend on Ohtani. Now, you know, the Dodgers get thrown in that mix and what they're going to spend, and then it'll come down to, okay, well, does he want the most money? Does he want to stay on the West Coast? If he wants to come to New York, does he want to take a discount to play for the Pinstripes? That's a possibility as well. But these are all things that we could get to in the offseason. Shohei Ohtani will not be in New York. I mean, I got to check the schedule, whether he plays the Yankees or Mets again this year here. But he will not be playing for a New York team this year. They're not. They basically said it. Both teams said it before the year. What has changed for the better since then? Nothing. If the Mets ever pulled a bonehead move like that, I swear, I'd give up. That's it. I'd quit being a fan. I'm done. Trading for Ohtani now. Now, they wouldn't do it. Even they are smart enough to realize they cannot do that. They said so before the year. There's no way you do something like that now. The idea to me is even ludicrous that it would come up. And like I said with the Yankees, you know, the idea, what do you think you're giving up? Oh, yeah, let's call the Angels. Sal, I got an idea. Thanks for taking my call. Congrats on the promotion. Love the show. Here's my idea. Let's give them Glaber, Severino, LeMahieu, and we'll throw in Donaldson. Then maybe a prospect from AA and get Ohtani. Like, no, that's not how it works. If you're the Angels, you want Volpe for starters. You know what I'm saying? Frank is calling from Roseland, New Jersey. What's up, Frank?
What's up, Sal? How are you?
Good, Frank. How are you?
Sal.
Hi, Frank. You there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I got you. What's going on?
Sal, I got to understand before I kind of react to it. So you're saying the Yankees or the Mets should not trade for Ohtani, regardless of who those players are, and we can get into that. Are you saying it doesn't matter?
I'm saying that what it will take to get Ohtani is in no way, shape, or form even worth entertaining at the trade deadline for either of these teams.
All right. So now that I understand what you're saying, if I'm a Yankees fan and I got a pulse on both of these teams, but you're telling me if the Angels said yes to fill in the blank, name the players. Volpe, Dominguez, Wells, Everson Pereira, Spencer Jones, anyone on the roster now. I mean, you bring this guy to New York, you have 3 months. You're telling me they can't convince him to stay here? Offer whoever is available.
Why would you give all that up?
He's the best player on earth.
I understand.
Why not?
Why would you because you don't need him to win a World Series this year. B, you're not going to rip apart the entire farm system to go get him when you could get him for money in the offseason.
I could throw in my 10-month-old son, and I'll make that offer right now.
My wife would divorce me if I ever even joked about that.
I'm kidding. But come on, you give them whatever the hell they ask for.
There are certain things, Frank, and thank you for the call. There are certain things even I wouldn't joke about. The idea of trading my 2-year-old daughter for Shohei Ohtani, even if it meant the Mets winning a World Series, I mean, I have to seriously think about it. But the idea that I would even joke about something like that, how could you be? Come on, Frank. No, but forget about the 10-month-old that you're throwing in. And by the way, I respect it. I respect your desire to win. The idea that you would give up Volpe for Shohei Ohtani when he is a free agent. And by the way, I'm not even sure the Yankees can afford him. Maybe this is a move where, similar to what we saw with Garrett Cole a few years back, the Yankees say, hey, this is the guy worth going all in on. The problem is the Yankees were outbid for Aaron Judge. They were outbid for Aaron Judge. Do you forget? Judge wanted to be here. Now, maybe Ohtani wants to be a Yankee. It has happened before. Guys want to play for the Pinstripes. And in that case, they'd be fortunate. That's why the Mets have to have the highest bid to even be in the game. If Steve Cohen and the Mets want to have a chance, it better be the highest bid by far. I still believe he's going to have the highest bid, Cohen, but I'm a little less sure of myself after hearing him speak. I think things are going to change, and not for the better with the Mets as far as the spending goes. It's not going to be, oh, well, this didn't work out, let's go spend more. It's going to be, hey, this didn't work out, figure out a way to do it for a little bit less. This is ridiculous here. How come this Tampa Bay team can double up our win total and spend a quarter of what we spend? And he's right. He should be thinking that. But the fan in me says, please, Stevie, I beg you, go get Ohtani. Then you could stop. Ohtani's got to be the one. But for trading for him now, that makes no sense. A rental? You think you're going to convince him? What? How are you going to convince him? You don't know, just like I don't know. We don't know what makes Ohtani tick. He could talk about winning. And look, maybe he wants to win on the West Coast. He had a chance to be a Yankee, not a Met, because the Mets weren't involved at that particular time. He had a chance to be a Yankee. He turned it down. He went to the Angels. He couldn't have cared about winning that much. The Angels have always sucked. So what is it that makes Ohtani tick? You're willing to trade Volpe amongst others? Well, forget about Dominguez. Who knows what these guys? But let's just say they want Volpe, Dominguez, Peraza, whatever it is. Pitching prospect. You're willing to do that? Because some organization, if he becomes available, will be willing to go the extra mile and give up their prospect. The Yankees didn't do it for Luis Castillo last year, not giving up top guys. You think all of a sudden they're going to go give more than that for Shohei Ohtani when he becomes a free agent at the end of the year? All they have to do is give him the most money? Potentially? You're not luring him here and going to convince him in 3 months that the East Coast is the place to be and sacrificing your farm system to do it. Artie's calling from Brooklyn. What's up, Artie?
Sal, what's going on, man? Listen, I don't agree because I had that same attitude with Piazza. I had that same attitude with Lindor. But the thing is that, and you don't know what they're asking. Look, the teams are going to give up their guys. Nobody's saying that they have to give up Alvarez and Volpe. If that's the case, then I understand it. But
well, if you're the Angels, what would you ask the Mets for, Artie? If you're the Angels, not the Met fan that you are, if you're the Angels, what would you ask the Mets for?
It's not that. You gotta also. You say it's the Mets. It's not what the Angels want.
No. Hold on a second. Yeah, it is what the Angels want. They're the ones trading him. If you, Artie, I'm asking you a simple question. Hold on. Let's play a game here. You're the Angels. What are you asking for Shohei Ohtani from the Mets? You're the Angels now.
I'm asking for Alvarez and Beatty.
Okay. So, for starters, at least one of them is going to have to be in the deal, no?
No, because then the Mets counter with, no, we're going to give you Mauricio and Yankees. Can you find a team that's going to do better than that?
Yes, absolutely. Artie, I could find a Little League team that could do better than that, and thank you for the call. Vientos and Mauricio? You got to be kidding me. That's what you come up with? You say you're the Angels, and you did right. You're asking for Alvarez and Beatty. And then the counter is going to be you say, no, we'll give you Vientos and Mauricio. If I'm the Angels, I'd say, you know what? You lowballed me so bad, don't even call me back. That's how bad your offer is. You disrespected me so bad. Don't even pick up the phone and call me back. There are plenty of other teams with interest in this guy. You think I'm going to take Mark Vientos and Ronnie Mauricio? That's your prize package? I don't even want those guys in addition to Alvarez. Maybe Mauricio. I don't want Vientos. Dump him on somebody else. You guys desperately need a DH, and he couldn't even make your team. What do I want with him? This is what I mean. You guys come up with this idea that, Ohtani's going to be available for less than Alvarez or Volpe when you're talking about, obviously, the Yankees and Mets. No freaking way. There's not a player in the sport, I would trade Francisco Alvarez. If I'm the Yankees, there's not a player in the sport I would trade Anthony Volpe for. This is not like Shohei Ohtani's got 3 years of control. He is a free agent. Guess what? Next year, you could have Francisco Alvarez and Shohei Ohtani. Next year, if you're the Yankees, you could have Anthony Volpe and Shohei Ohtani. Not to mention that you don't know what makes him tick. So you're willing to trade those guys to find out what Shohei Ohtani's all about. Maybe he wants to play in New York. That's stupid. The cost to be able to get him? No way. Scott is calling from Jamesburg, New Jersey. What's up, Scott?
Sal, I agree with you 100%. I would not trade Alvarez for anybody as a Met fan. And I look at this in a really perspective. No one makes sense, a team like San Francisco,
right,
go after Ohtani. I look at this, Sal. I've been thinking about this a lot this week with the All-Star break. As you said, they want Vientos. He can't even play for the Mets. I'm under 500.
Right.
And everyone's still talking. There's a reason that Buck doesn't want to play him. But what I've seen is this. You know what this reminds me of 25 years ago? Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson was not re-signing with Seattle. He was a huge star, and July 31st was coming up. The Mets weren't in. I believe the Yankees were in 98 on Randy. And he ended up going to the Astros for a package that was like Freddie Garcia, John Halama, like not a great package.
John Halama.
But
hey, these are good names for the Immaculate Grid. No, I actually forgot that Randy Johnson played for the Astros until you just refreshed my memory.
But, he paid, again, it was from July. He got traded at the deadline, July 31st. That Mariner team was coming off a playoff appearance in 97. You had Griffey, you had A-Rod, you had Randy Johnson. All year they knew they weren't re-signing him. I don't know why the 98 Mets weren't in on him. I know there were injury questions. But, again, you went into that July 31st deadline. Are the Mariners going to trade him? And the truth of the matter is the same thing's going to happen here. Ohtani's going to end up. Why would the Mets trade guys that could possibly? I believe what Uncle Steve has said is that organizational decision again about replenishing the minor leagues.
They don't have it. The Mets don't have the will. They can't get him without Alvarez. The Mets
can't trade Parada. No, you want these guys there because if Ohtani comes here, there's nothing in my mind that says we have him for 3 months that he's re-signing.
Not only, Scott, and thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Not only should the Mets not do it because they want to keep their farm system intact and they're trying to, as a matter of fact, rebuild their farm system, they don't have what it would take to get Ohtani. They can't get him without including Alvarez or Beatty or potentially both. Not to mention that the time to go all in on a free agent to be like this, a guy that's going to cost you a ton at the trade deadline, if they in fact decide to trade him. The time to do that is when he's the final piece, when you're not worried about the farm system, when you have a deep farm system like the Dodgers, like the Padres, these teams that keep doing, like the Giants potentially. Now, I'm not saying I'm an expert on these farm systems, but it feels like everybody else outside of the Mets has the farm system in place. But let's just say those teams, even if some of them don't have it, whatever, there are teams that are better suited to be able to give up prospects to go get Ohtani and go all in for the rest of this year. The Mets are not one of them. It's not a fit. Not only that, they're not winning. You do this if you're in it and you want that final piece to put you over the top. Then you go all in. Then you say, yeah, I'm going to give up this top prospect, this guy, because down the road they may be something, but I'm trying to win a World Series now. That's not the case with the Mets. And he's not that piece for the Yankees either. Not to mention what it would take to give up for him. If you're a team like the Dodgers and they continue to get these big guys at the trade deadline or whatever, Mookie Betts and Trey Turner and Max Scherzer, they give up these top prospects. That's how you get those players. They continue to churn these prospects, and they turn them into stars at the deadline. That's not where the Mets or Yankees are at right now. If I'm the Angels and I don't hear Anthony Volpe and I'm the Yankees, I'm talking to the Yankees, I hang up. Same thing with the Mets and Alvarez. And by the way, you can have him if you're the Mets or Yankees by bidding the most for him, potentially, assuming he wants to come to the East Coast. If you can't, then you can't. And then it would have been a waste to trade for him anyway, because your whole idea of saying, well, it's not going to be 3 months, we got to convince him. You don't know that that's going to work. You're better off waiting to the offseason and convincing him then.